Good morning. I hope that you are doing well this morning, enjoying your favorite cup of coffee, your favorite cup of tea, or depending on when you are watching this video, maybe you've transitioned over to water. Let's get into today's video email topic. And I'm going to try to hold my hands and not be so animated because I'm really excited. And the topic of today is around focusing your time and attention just on one thing when it comes to your business. Now, I know you're like, Rhonda, I've heard that. Click, turn me off, right? But listen, for 17 years, I literally did the same thing twice a year. I launched my seasonal children's consignment sale. I scaled it and I sold it. And for those 17 years, really the only thing that changed were the evolution of the systems to support the event as it grew. The event itself was 100% focused on used children's items. They were about $3, $5 on average. And before I sold it, over the years, those systems allowed me to consistently generate $500,000 in sales in just 8 days a year. This was a huge, massive event, and one where I realized the importance of delegation and the importance of replacing myself. Why on earth has it taken me so long to almost fight for the one thing that I do now? And I really believe sometimes like we need those things that just jolt us a little bit. And that was my last year. That was 2024. And because of all of the endings and the beginnings and all of the things from last year, I really started to think to myself, what is it that I love to do? And what is the vision for how I want the rest of my time to be, like in my business, right? How do I want the future of my business? What do I want it to look like? Because I don't want to be mired down in details. I don't want to be like working so hard behind the scenes that it leads to burnout and overwhelm, anxiety, like all of the things, which I have been there. And so that is why I am sharing today with you. So in doing just the one thing, here are like the 3 results on the other side. Okay. Number 1, focus creates momentum. And I know that consistency in focusing on the one thing, that is the hardest thing. That is the hardest thing. But if you can be patient, that focus creates momentum. And I realized all of that this week. So, I work with 2 ads coaches, Victor Vento, as well as Laurel Portier. They both do 2 very different things. And what we're focusing on with Laurel is literally a scaling strategy. Now, when it comes to ads, I run my own dashboard, ads dashboard. I have, over the years, I brought in agencies and just for me was not a good fit. Love the guys that I worked with, but just not a good fit. And now I am running the ads dashboard myself. I always recommend, let me just do a little side note here. I always recommend that you understand your ads platform before you do bring someone in. That way we're just like all on the same page and we're talking the same language, right? Okay. And so for years in selling my template, I have literally used almost the same audience and almost the same ad. When you talk about scaling, it's not necessarily, okay, well, that's working. Let's just throw more money at it and more money at it and more money at it. That's the way I used to think. And that is kind of a scary place to be for a number of reasons. And that's not the topic of today. So we're not going to go there. But working with Laurel and the scaling strategy was literally taking 5 new audiences and 3 different ad angles. Now, I tried this earlier this week and we started it. I launched it, actually got angry about it. And I just like shut it. And I left the house. Like I just went grocery shopping because I could not, it was very uncomfortable. And then something miraculous, amazing happened is that the consistency that I've had over the years, not really knowing that I was focusing on one thing, but that consistency and the actions that I took this week created momentum. So the focus has created momentum. And so it's not only just one audience, but now I have a couple of audiences and I have a couple of different angles. Now, small wins lead to big progress. Small wins being launching it, like a $10 ad, and getting a sale. That is a big win, and that leads to progress, because literally the scaling method is testing different angles, testing different creative, and it's not even necessarily using big ad spend. Like I can get 9, 10, 14, 15 ROAS right now, and it's like I'm totally happy. And her scaling method is not necessarily throwing a lot of big money at ads. I'm diversifying and we are testing everything. And if something's working, we'll add a little bit of ad spend to it. And finally, I think that, the question is, where do I need to focus my limited time and attention with so much going on? It is that, and I've said this now for a while, but it literally is like my content is where I need to focus my time and attention. This ads dashboard and scaling ads can get very overwhelming if, number one, the naming conventions are not explicit and you are tracking like what is working and then scaling that. And then testing new. So each week should be testing new angles. I never understood that until this week. And so it all leads into like the bigger plan, the bigger idea that I have for myself and for my business. And so it was such a huge epiphany in why, I don't know why it's taken me so long to focus just on one thing. I think it's because we get bored. I mean, I think it's human nature, right? This is working, so let me put something on top of it to sabotage it. Or this is working really well, let me change things up just because I'm bored, right? I mean, that is literally what happens. But what I have tried to do, especially over, I guess, the past 6 months, is just lean into my experience. If the one thing is working, yes, there are different angles and avenues that we can approach it to improve it. Yes, we can continue to streamline how you implement your fulfillment and what those systems looks like to support it. But literally just focusing on one thing is so freeing, and clarity beats overwhelm hands down every single day. And the small wins, it's like dopamine. Like I feel like I'm chasing dopamine and I'm loving it. Now we're going into the weekend, and so we'll see what happens. But where you can, look at the like winner chicken dinner inside of your business, and that right there, that one thing, double down. All right, take care. We'll talk soon.